Now at 5, we're going to hear from some local veterans about how fireworks can trigger PTSD. Plus, how a Joplin car dealership is making sure cancer patients stay warm during treatment. And
former President Trump is vowing to get even, claiming the federal charges against him are part of a political attack. Comes Skylar Henry in Washington with the audio recording cited in the indictment.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
we have the potential for storms and strong winds moving in tonight before a heat wave hits us for a few days. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Let's go straight to Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty.
Yeah, we got a little bit of everything that is going to be happening over the next 24 to 48 hours. But first off, severe threat, and this is for tonight. It's later on tonight, but it's at least a pretty decent severe threat across the region. In fact, you can see our northern counties level 1 out of 5. In the yellow, level 2 out of 5, level 3 out of 5 for our southern counties. Now, timing is mainly 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. So a loud night. Main threat is going to be wind. So I'm going to elevate the wind threat as we go through the overnight hours. Then right behind it, look at this. Heat advisory goes into effect for us tomorrow as triple-digit heat will start to move into the region. So, of course, we're going to break this all down for you here in just a bit.
Catch you in a few. Today is Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Awareness Day, and with the 4th of July right around the corner, veterans who suffer from PTSD start getting anxious for the holiday. That happens because as our nation celebrates its independence with fireworks, some veterans are triggered by the sights, smells, and sounds.
You know, when people take a long string of fireworks and light them and throw them off, at a distance, that sounded to me as if we were going into a firefight. It's that muffled sound that will get louder as you get close to it, and that just agitates the heck out of me.
I go to my back bedroom, I turn the TV up as loud as I can, and that's where I stay the whole night.
For veterans coping with PTSD on the 4th of July, specialists recommend repeating simple reminders like, "This is not a combat zone," as those can help reset the brain during a PTSD trigger. We're going to hear from another local veteran and from a psychologist tonight at 6. We're hosting a flag swap tomorrow from 11 until 2 at Arvest Bank in Joplin. It's going to be at 2023 East 32nd Street. All you have to do is bring your old, tattered American flag to get a brand new American-made flag, free of charge. The American Legion is assisting us in properly retiring those traded-in flags. This is the second flag swap we're hosting. You can find information about others at koamnewsnow.com/flag. Joplin Car Dealership today donated the gift of warmth. Frank Fletcher Subaru donated 70 blankets to the Freeman Cornell Bouchard Cancer Institute for patients. The fluids used for chemotherapy are cold and can leave the body weak and unable to produce enough heat on its own. Officials say these blankets go a long way to making cancer treatment a little less uncomfortable.
There's a good community servant, and so is Subaru. They're one of the best in the nation. They're one of the top 3 auto dealers who give back. And every year, this is the 8th year that we've given blankets to the Freeman cancer patients. They do this nationwide.
The Cancer Institute is at Freeman Hospital West. The U.S. Supreme Court has handed a defeat to GOP leaders in North Carolina. The justices rejected a bid to give state legislatures sweeping authority in drawing congressional maps and regulating federal elections. The decision is a major victory for voting rights advocates who fear that a ruling adopting the independent legislature theory would wreak havoc on our election systems. Former president and current 2024 presidential candidate Donald Trump is facing federal criminal charges for his alleged mishandling of classified documents. One of the key pieces of evidence revealed in the indictment was the transcript of an audio recording where Trump describes secret documents. Reporter Skylar Henry has the latest now from the White House.
CBS News has obtained an audio recording that special counsel Jack Smith refers to in his indictment, charging former President Donald Trump with mishandling classified documents.
See, as president, I could have been less. No, I can't, but this is classified.
According to the indictment, the recording is from a 2021 conversation Trump had at his New Jersey golf club with a book writer, publisher, and 2 staffers. Trump can be heard talking about a document he suggests was a plan from Joint Chiefs Chair General Mark Milley.
He said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the
You
papers.
did.
This was done by the military and given to me.
Trump pleaded not guilty to the 37 charges he faces and claims this indictment is part of a political attack to keep him from returning to the White House.
They even tried to have me arrested. I'm a candidate. I said, wait a minute, I'm a candidate. You're arresting a candidate? Yeah, because you're leading. That's why we're arresting.
Trump told voters in New Hampshire he could face more charges as special counsel Jack Smith also investigates attempts to overturn the 2020 election, including a phone call Trump made to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, asking him to find votes needed to win the state.
There could be others coming, like for a perfect phone call. Numbers will keep going up.
Raffensperger is scheduled to talk with investigators Wednesday. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Trump's trial for the government documents case is scheduled for August 14th, but Trump's lawyers are expected to ask to push that trial back to a later date. Still ahead, a deadly disease right here in the U.S.
For the first time in decades, cases of malaria are transmitted locally. I'm Cristian Benavides with what you need to know.
And promising results from a potential weight loss pill. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, in a new study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, researchers found a daily pill called orforglipron from drug maker Eli Lilly helped participants with obesity lose nearly 15% of their body weight over just 36 weeks. And a recent study also found the active ingredient in the popular injectable diabetes drugs Ozempic and Wegovy could be effective in reducing weight when taken in pill form every day.
All of these medications work by teaching sort of that hormonal axis between the brain and the gut, the way that your brain tells your digestive system, look, you've had enough. It's those hormones that these medications are impacting.
Side effects from orforglipron include vomiting, constipation, diarrhea, and burping. 10 to 17% of participants had to stop taking the drug. Still, experts say the pills in development would be an alternative to those once-a-week injections that are currently available, and they might cost less. For a more traditional weight loss method, new research shows intermittent fasting works about as well as cutting calories. A new study in the Annals of Internal Medicine found participants who restricted their eating to the hours of noon to 8 p.m. lost about 10 pounds more than the control group after 1 year, while participants who reduced their caloric intake by 25% lost about 12 pounds. 5 cases of malaria have now been confirmed in the United States for the first time in decades. Federal health officials are alerting doctors and the public that the potentially deadly mosquito-borne disease is being transmitted locally. Reporter Cristian Benavides has more from Miami.
Mark Rubin says summer is the busiest time of the year.
It's hotter out, it's raining every day.
He is the owner of the Mosquito Authority in South Florida.
There seems to be more and more mosquitoes, more and more calls.
Now the CDC is issuing an advisory after seeing 5 cases of the mosquito-borne illness, malaria. They signaled the first local spread of the disease in 20 years. Health officials say the cases in Texas and Florida were acquired here in the U.S., not through travel.
That means that we have had malaria spread into the mosquito population here, which means that the risk for getting malaria here in this country is higher than it used to be, and that is really concerning.
Dr. Celine Gounder says mild symptoms may include headache, fever, and muscle aches. Among the potential severe symptoms, changes in mental status, lung and kidney failure.
Severe malaria can be deadly, and it is a medical emergency, so people who have signs and symptoms of malaria should get checked out as quickly as possible.
Martine Edlund is CEO of Malaria No More. He says we're seeing the effects of climate change on health.
Mosquito-borne diseases like malaria and dengue are some of the most climate-sensitive diseases. Even small changes in temperature, rainfall, humidity can lead to these diseases being transmitted in new altitudes and new latitudes.
Prevention is critical. Removing standing water and cover skin with clothing and appropriate repellent. Cristian Benavides, CBS News.
All of the patients have received treatment and are improving. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, Facebook parent company Meta is rolling out some new parental controls on the platform.
Plus, we have a severe threat, which is going to be rolling in later on tonight. Details coming up. Well, we had some scattered showers and thunderstorms out there during the morning hours. A lot of clouds most of the day, but you can see sunshine has been breaking out over the past few hours. So what this is doing is allowing our temperatures to heat up quite a bit. So we're actually sitting into the mid 80s, pushing 90 as we get into the evening hours. Feels like 86. Our humidity is at about 41%. All right, severe threat rolling in later on tonight. Again, northern counties level 1 out of 5. Southern counties in the orange, you're looking at a level 3 out of 5. So an elevated risk. 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. main threat is going to be wind. Tornado threat's low, but we do have that low threat just because of the type of storms that are going to be pushing in. Could give us a few quick little spin ups. But I don't think that's going to happen. Rain chances really shoot up midnight, 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m., and then taper off as we go through the morning hours. All right, the clouds have been breaking up. We do have a little line of showers in our far western counties, but I really kind of think these are going to start to fall apart as they kind of work in. But we will get some clouds, at least from it, and we could get a random little shower over the next couple hours. These are rotating off toward the east, but the big guys, they are developing out southwestern Kansas, and it's actually going to be this cluster here that becomes the bigger cluster that starts to roll off toward the east a little bit later on tonight. So we got to keep our eyes on that, but this is still long ways away, many, many hours away. So the evening hours look pretty good. Slide back into the 70s. Let's stop at midnight. Storms working into our western counties. Again, we are going to have that severe threat. Let's go through the overnight hours. Band pushes in, so should get into Pittsburgh, Joplin, 1 to 2 a.m., very loud night. As we continue through the night, heaviest now pushes into southwestern Missouri, so this is 2, 3, 4 a.m., and then most of this is going to be gone by morning. We'll start off with a few scattered showers, and then things will start to improve. Rainfall, we still got to see where that heavy band sets up, but as of right now, along the state line of Kansas and Oklahoma, probably a ½ inch upwards to an inch. Northern counties, not much at all, as you're really going to get just kind of clipped by this band of showers and thunderstorms. Through the evening, drop back through the 80s, eventually into the 70s. Here's the other aspect. Look at this. Heat advisory starts tomorrow, Thursday into Friday, as our temperatures are really going to warm up, and this is due to this big dome of high pressure, which is going to work in over the next couple days, keeping our temperatures or upping our temperatures as we go through the next couple days. So by noon tomorrow, lower 90s, look at this, right around 100 by the time we get into the afternoon. So it gets up there. Here's your day planner, 78 to start, 91 by noon, 5 p.m., 24 hours from now, sitting right at about 100 degrees. So it is going to get hot. Alert day tomorrow, Thursday, Friday with that triple digit heat. Now the clouds would stick around a little longer tomorrow. We may only get to 95 or 96, but we'll shoot for 100, 104 Thursday, 102 Friday, cooling it down a bit as we go into the weekend.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Wet ground, 100-degree temperatures. I can almost see the steam rising up.
Yeah, heat indices are going to be up there.
Oh my goodness. Thanks, Doug. Flight tracking service FlightAware reports that more than 1,600 flights have been canceled today, with even more delayed, mostly due to the bad weather on the East Coast. The long lines are reminiscent of last year's repeated issues with air travel, but data from the Federal Aviation Administration shows cancellations are trending lower. Still, travel experts say there's little to no recourse for stranded flyers.
If your flight is canceled or delayed due to weather, there's not much that the airlines are responsible for doing for you. It is an extraordinary circumstance. Weather is typically not covered in terms of flight refunds, waived fees, those kinds of things.
The CEO of United Airlines blamed the FAA for some of the cancellations this weekend. The FAA fired back, saying, quote, "We will always collaborate with anyone seriously willing to join us to solve a problem." Coming up, now that lab-grown meat is approved for sale in the U.S., we're going to look at the process of making it and some concerns people have. Topping today's Consumer Watch, Meta is adding new tools for parents to help monitor their teens' activities on social media. That features include controls on Messenger, so now parents and guardians can see how much time their teens spend on the chat tool, view and receive updates on their contacts list, and get notified if their teen reports someone. Similar supervision tools already exist on Instagram. There's plant-based meat, and now there's lab-grown chicken. The USDA has approved the production and sale of cultivated meat in the United States, but not everyone is behind the innovative new option. Jen Sullivan has a closer look.
Meat without the slaughter. Lab-made animal protein from the companies Good Meat and Upside Foods is now clear for production and sale in the U.S.
We're just trying to make the same product people have loved their entire lives a different way.
But just because it looks the same, tastes the same, and is just as safe, would you eat chicken cultivated in a lab? Well, you won't see lab meat at your local store anytime soon. Here's what you should know now. 1. How is it made? The meat is made from animal cells and is grown in massive bioreactors.
We can produce a lot of muscle tissue directly from a very small amount of cells, and then we feed it to other people.
2. What are the benefits? Advocates of lab meat say it's a more environmentally friendly way to produce meat. Animal agriculture is responsible for a significant amount of greenhouse gas emissions, which contributes to climate change. 3. Is it safe? Both the FDA and USDA have said some lab meats are safe for human consumption. But experts say animal cells are prone to contamination and say it faces long-term production challenges.
Can you grow them at scale in such numbers that it will make it competitive with beef or any other, it could be fish or poultry? And our answer to that, based just on well-known principles of biotechnology of fermentation processes, it doesn't look very good.
4. What about the cost? The exact pricing is still unclear. And finally, when can you buy it? No exact date has been announced, but Good Meat said production started immediately after USDA approval. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Good Meat has previously announced a partnership with Chef Jose Andres to bring its lab meat to a Washington, D.C. restaurant. And Upside Foods is planning to introduce its product at a restaurant in San Francisco, but has not announced a launch date. Good news for inflation-weary 4th of July revelers. The Independence Day cookout is going to be a bit more affordable than it was last year. According to a survey from the American Farm Bureau Federation, families can expect to pay $67.73 for a 10-person cookout. That's down 3% from last year's record high. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, we're going to have more on how severe weather is impacting travel for millions of Americans. Then on KOAM News at 6, the family of a murdered Parsons, Kansas man speaks out about the current state of that case. Plus, we're going to hear from a psychologist with tips for veterans on dealing with PTSD during 4th of July celebrations. And a former Crowder College baseball standout is taking part in the MLB's All-Star Futures game. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Again, you want to keep an eye on the weather and on Doug and the rest of the weather team because we have the possibility of some nasty stuff moving in today.
Yeah, severe threat, especially after 11 p.m. So if everything comes together, of course, we'll do cut-ins on KOAM and then we'll start a live stream on the KOAM YouTube, so watch for that. Alert days next 3 days, 100 tomorrow, 104 on Thursday. Let's jump to the 4th of July. A couple random storms, but hot, 96.
Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.